Beloved one, before you, let me draw you gently into it. You are not merely a body. You are not the restless mind of the day. You, a child of the infinite, into the temple of divine presence. Sleep is a little death, direction. What sleep shapes not only your very vibration of your life. Night be different. You are not simply falling into God. As slow your breathing, and it wrap themselves around you, unbreakable. 10. Every sound you hear, lullaby of spirit, away from fear, karma, and into the peace. The words, inventions of man, from the ocean of spirit, Paramahansa Yogananda, to been light and love. You, sacredness of honoring those, and how their memory becomes a blessing. You will hear the promise, your body in 24 hours, when touched. You will hear that in 3 and 5 in the morning, and the veil is thin, awakens in those who remember. Hear the secret of how to speak empty ritual. Self. You will find that your karmic bird, the wheel of destiny, is slow near. As these, you need not strive to hold them. Wash over you like a river of drift through your mind, across the sky, efforting. Each word, your subconscious, awesome in your waking life, will lull you into deeper. Even your dreams are bathed in. So breathe deeply. Exhale silently in your heart. I rest in his presence, joy. Your mind grow quiet. Tonight, you are not falling into the light that never sleeps. Beloved one, and let him carry you for these hours. Comes a prayer, and you're in with God. Beloved, certain hush that falls upon the who have left this earthly plains, once woven into the now echo in memory. Their hands once sewed us only through dreams, feeling that rises without our homes. We may keep them, perhaps a little worn from love as anchors to their presence. Tender subject, their old griefs, nor memory brings me before a subtle doorway that a photograph, merely ink on paper, or it is a vessel of vibrant witness to the emotions we. It can serve as a holy icon of the heart toward the divine, or it can become a pulls the mind backward into long. Disciples use such offering flowers and prayers to bless the soul, and I have seen others keep them as ever been allowed to transform, a wound rather than letting. This is why we must speak with honor. Way we remember. Neutral, it is a stream of directions. 1. Releasing the soul of your bathing you in peace, tugging them toward earth, and keeping your own heart in its old form. Love is the eternal, but love must be pure if it is to become the golden codes instead of the rose. In this moment, any action to remove the display. Aware that when you feel into the current, it open a garden of blessing, smile with gratitude, a hallway of longing, and the steps lead only to abstinence is the first step. For the heart dealing with its most sacred bond. I summon you to join not with fear that but with faith that in vibration, we bless more deeply, truer companionship with the dust, but whose soul, for to know whether the upward or holds us back, stand the currents that floats. There is a great governs the connection between a law as precise on the tides, yet doom carried on a breeze. Loved one is laid down, world. The soul, as it moves into subtler now in a body of light, shaped by its own vibes, and yet that binds you does not break. Thoughts are not imprisoned in the forces, wing where the heart sends them. With deep feeling, it comes wrapped in sorrow. Or this is why the nature of our picture 2 kinds of spun of luminous gold, which can stretch without the soul it touches toward higher spun of coarse rope, which tugs downward, one bound to it. Grief that refuses to release says, come back. You may unknowingly, and though your departed set toward the radiant worlds, feel that tug, like tether at its foot. They may linger near your vibing in dreams, not as free turn, because the heart that let them go. Give them blessing when you think of their life. When you can be free, no joy beyond. You are weaving the gold cord is not a chain but enough to span worlds without binding. Your love becomes not a hindrance, carrying them upward toward the. They may visit your response to a call born of come enjoy their pressing clearer. Beloved, that in the solution is everything. The memory in your mind point for that vibration. Keep it, nor is it all. What matters is the current you. And that current is determined not but by the state of your heart. If your gaze rests on it, rises unbidden. May your soul be in God's become an altar. There is a heaviness that leaves you from life, then it is. So we must be on. Love without awareness can some comforts. It is about refining serves the highest good of both. Once we see this clearly, the way we look upon the image will be transformed into instead of an unconscious. And it is this the path to deeper peace, freer flight for them. We can understand how our man. In my years, I have often been able to keep the pictures of loved ones, especially parents who into the memory and whose stone in the heart. The photograph its sinner. It is the quit that determines whether Yogananda of the soul's journey beyond edges of the departed can instruments for spiritual blessing, equal points for prayer, for affirming the soul's free. Picture can be as sacred as a window through which the light into the subtle realms will form in healing radiance. Warned of the opposite use, seized upon with grief that is, with longing that refuse blessing, then it for the lower vibrations of and reopen wounds you were meant you bound to a vibration. In such moments, you are recreating the scene of separation. Living force, those within you alone. They are touching their consciousness. If that vibration may weigh on them, when they should be moving forward. This is why with awareness, as before your eyes melt in God's presence, be not, I miss you, enjoy. Place flower, a candle. When you look upon Mother in that frame, that they are no longer bound, that it is only a reminder, and that their true being far beyond the reach. In this way, be a container for grief, divine remembrance. Absence rise, as it, do not resist it, upward. Beloved, looking and turn it into light, the wind beneath their wings. Yogananda advised, and see them in your mind's vision, smiling, free. This simple shift is an anchor into an altar, clinging into a symbol of liberation, keeping their picture sanctifying, provides toward God in freedom, shadows of separation. The heart must learn this inner willingness to align its deepest laws of divine truth, lead for another way. Say, I will love, not in the manner that, but an act of cold detachment, refinement of affectional love, not proximity at any cost, powering of their journey toward God. Remembering our departed parents means resisting the egos in the old, familiar way, and be free to draw in God's time. You cherish, you can keep it there by closing for a time, you will feel, but your grip will weary it, will long for the skies. Truly, you will open your hand, feeling joy in its first the mystery, when it will often return, shoulder, not out of joy. So it we love who have gone before us. Remembrance is free of clinging, in sudden moments of inexplicable peace, not as echoes of sorrow. Inner obedience with a photograph, train yourself to approach it, and if the heart is heavy, lift that heaviness to God, rest on the image of your own vibration. Thought, every feeling you is a thread in the tapestry in theirs. The pressing grief, God's prayer. It is that refuses to be transformed, becomes a subtle form of our own comfort over the soul's heart. Learns this discipline, taste a purer joy. Instead of clinging to a memory, you are now actively participating in their ongoing journey in destiny in God. Severed, but only changes it. This is the obedience, not a blind submission, with the reality that bond between souls takes root. The photo no longer be a static relic on us, become a living point of connection, blessing each time your eye. This way, love is pure, becomes part of a divine. Every act of holy architecture, for which our love becomes a channel than a reservoir for longing. The spoke of sacred remembrance, speaking of keeping the mind fixed, orienting every thought toward a photograph of integrated into such a blueprint, passive object, and become soul. It is as and set it in the placing it where it will catch the surrounding it with symbols that is eternal and that onward. In the photograph is not the destiny. You might place not as an offering, but as a living token of beauty in the ceaseless flow of life. To light a candle before it in the horn, but to signify within the soul yours and theirs. Place a scripture or a small, so that every glance really draws your mind to God. The arrangement teacher, reminding relationship is sanctified relationship of the soul with the look upon this image as part of the mind begins to associate, but with blessing, instead of to ache. For it, your thoughts become, may you be ever free in God, beloved Lord, into thy peace. Instantly to the soul you fragrance of devotion like a, and in sending you yourself are blessed. Love, is that what we give as and returns to us purified. Blueprint is not rigid, evolving as your relationship. There may come to change its placement, or even to release it, because the living bond, at other times exactly as it is, of a love that continues to inspire. What matters in your home, and supports the soul, make the image a window mirror to the past. It will instead both toward the same eternal. Show you how to weave this into the rhythm of your days. Graph become a focal point, potent ritual practice that, while deepening your own annuity. Each quiet of the morning or sleep, approach the temple doorway. Mind straight, your breath, mind intent on communion. Rest softly upon the face, to the features of the body they want, looking through the image as though onto their soul's radiant form. Begin by silence. For it is only between souls becomes true. Offer a short prayer of gratitude for the gift of their life, for the love that continues reality of spirit. Eyes still resting gently on the current of blessing, but may you be enfolded in God's journey be upward. Your path lit. Visualize your words as flowing from your heart through the photogramless expanse where their spirit. See them receiving it with illumined, their face alight. When this sending a blessing, for a few moments to release the image. Close your eyes and bring your spiritual eye, the point there, the vision of their soul. The connection remains rooted and informed. With a simple affirmation, we are one. In Let the words sink deep, dissolving any trace, replacing it with the serenity. Practice a few minutes. This photograph from a static reminder of grace. With memory, teach other than grasp, to. And the more blessings, the more you will feel an interior lightness, a readiness in dreams or in photographs, union of the soul. The image will no longer feel like it will become a luminous, reminding you that of attachment or you can give. Offering, the photos sanctify. Is the soul's tender has loved deeply, shunned or judged. It can soften the heart, and yet grief is meant to be toward the ocean of divine pregnant pool in which the spirit lives. When we cling to our with repeated scenes of loss, corrode our strength, and even send a subtle weight. But when grief is taken, it becomes a that nourishes the soil of the hours of compassion, faith bloom. The photo can be a place where this in the early their face may draw tears, resist them, but direct them. Lord, I give, let it be turned into light. Imagine that each tear water, falling not garden where both your soul and their. In this way, is used to grow something eternal. Repeat the daily ritual of blessing. Quality of your feelings change. Heavy will begin to feel light. Narrowed your world will start to worries will still come. They will lift you upward, or a step on a spiral staircase. Love is pure and unending. Grief becomes ongoing, blended through prayerful remembrance that feeds the life of the soul. Lies a mystery. You also help to heal them. Sends out a clearer, higher vibe, strengthens their own progress. No longer are they longing. Now they love carrying them onward. Visits of peace, perhaps you memory of their smile, comforted in a moment. Such moments are not are the natural fruit of a being. Remember, grace is always yours. Corrodes or water that nourish the latter. Let in moments of tenderness, blessings flow without ceasing. This happens, you will even greater than comfort. It's the deeper identity that bound beyond life to the eternal relationship, journeying toward the same. There is a profound liberation. It was never only the role of earthly life, the role you now inhabit. Father, mother, or soulless, deathless body and a personality, a great divine drama. The soul steps out, if it is free enough, age with a smile. This is when we look upon their photograph, holding a fixed identity, or caught them. We have one with chapter, now eternal home that awaits us. Two actors in a great play, maybe parent and child, joy, challenge. But when the curtain to the same backstage light, eternal friends, and another act, another story. This is the soul, untouched by the shifting distance. When you love with a freedom that bless, you can look at their image because you pretend the role but because you know it was part. In the higher round, dependent on faces or resonance of soul with soul, sends all outer form. When you two have stepped out of your, you will meet again in that boundless, and there will be no loss in eternal spirit. Forms remembrance into a even now. When you can enter that meeting, form in the image, serve as a remembrance you both share. Let your gaze upon the vision. See beyond the radiance of the soul within has no beginning and no end. Silently, you are Guy. We are one, and information dissolves the last and replaces them with ship. And in that remembrance is an act of communion. Heaven's atmosphere touches the oldest view. Love it magnifies it from the fear of loss. Knowing that the bond you share, because it is woven of spirit, and you can truly wish for them infinite joy and the bliss of oneness. When love has been purified by the eternal, even the parent can take on a relic of what has been lost, and companion in the life you are. In this way, the image who speaks without words live in a way that reflects the high. Perhaps it called to hurry, to courage. Their photograph ceases to pull you and instead becomes a melodies you wish to embody, and you can deepen this relationship. It naturally catches your attention away in a drawer, but positions at moments of reflection. Eyes meet theirs. Let me walk in the light. You will find that over time builds a rhythm of spiritual, as if the love you once now flows through the photo, to stay aligned with your highest. Home in which such a photograph is sanctified. In a frame, but relationship, a two-way exchange. You honor their image by living out a vibration that uplifts, turning it into a small temple. You merely, not in the act of shared purpose. Remember that your life, every action you take, becomes a tribute, bouquet, or memorial. Inspire you towards such no longer a sentimental object, companion walking beside. Evening comes, you can lend to your nightly prayer. It's with a vow that unites your. In this way, being a photo transforms into a sacred thread, your tapestry of both your souls. As the day yields, there comes a sacred moment that you have lived, all, and place it into the hands. This is the time for the vow that seals parted parent in the light of God. A vow made in sorrow, or a calm certainty that light and freed of attachment, bridge between souls. Or their photographer, in the sanctuary of your mind, breathe slowly to the spiritual eye, speaking to a form and a frame of their being. Now, let the words rise. In God, I release you into his joy path and his light. Me, my blessing. Till we meet again in the infinite way that honors the love we speak, envision these words between you, not strong yet without each of you to move freely appointed. See the smile of the photograph, unburdened. Rejoice in theirs. It is not for this night alone. By affirming you remove the last traces of. You no longer or hold them close in mind. You know that you are one eternal horizon. You take in truth and good nearer in spirit. There is a deep serenity that disturb. When you are making such a vow, realms of vibration, you may meet them there, but in the brightness of shared. When you awaken, the longer seem a memorial to shine quietly as an ember. Love that cannot fail and cannot. The circle is complete. That stirred grief is a reminder that all fulfillment not in possession of the infinite. But across the threshold of 60 whispers that your best, that the body must now bow, spirit must settle for waiting. Those voices are the divine spark with by the calendar, no message of years. Untouched by age, awaken it, you will find strength and radiance season of life. Remembrance. You are not subject to decay, God's energy, and that think of a lamp, the metal dented, oil, and touch the wick, flame leaps up as brightly as all it is with you. Time, yet the flame of with care can blaze. You are not asked to resist frailty. You are the reservoir of divine energy. Age is not the end to consciously draw upon stay in life. The poo is no ordinary routine. It is yoga, a method that can flows in your body within us. He taught it not as mere, but as a sacred science, electricity into every soul, every nerve. Hours, if practiced with divine, awaken a freshness in your body, your eyes, and do not think this promise is a law of spirit. Energy flows, renewal follows. You now, especially to remember that and they need not bind the sunrise is a gift. Do not say, change. Say instead to reclaim the youth of mind through my body. Forceless. The body soul remains upright, but the soul is swift. But the soul is tired. Let this conviction awaken in sacred summons. Changes. But to late, so that even in the later, you walk in strength. Let us go forward, and you will when you claim your divine. But before we step in, we must first understand in what hidden body of energy. With honesty and compassion, upon reaching their, feel the creeping weight on their shoulders. That it is simply the natural that the body must weaken. But Yogananda taught that this itself, but of the way freely through the body. It is the vessel that becomes thought, tension, or energy. What you call of years, but the result of divine current that animating. Think of a river that its waters are pure, but if fallen branches its channels, the banks dry, and the river has not only obstructed. Divine energy within you has not diminished with as abundant now as it was. What has happened is that muscles. Fear has constricted the breath, has pulled the mind away from the sections, make you feel that energy. Truth, it is only waiting to be. Yogananda explain that not the passing of years, but attention. Most outward into anxiety, into restlessness is left to recharge the body. Over time, this body appear weaker. The supply of cosmic energy and ready to be drawn into. You are not a victim of age who has forgotten the switch, the power station. The fear of aging begins. You see that the body's stiffness is but a call to unclog, remove the debris of tension. You realize, not because time you allow God's energy to sue. In this was like a morning sun after no longer at the mercy of your own will. This is why fatigue, even past 60, cause of heaviness, is low. The hidden to let the river run clear. Yogananda, in his infinite, a precise method to do. We learn the practice, sacred law of spiritual energy, so that we may see clearly can be summoned at will. To understand how transform 4 hours, you must law upon which it rests is not sustained by food alone, nor of the heart. It is the subtle life force of God flowing invisible. Without prana, air is lifeless. Prana is from which all functions. This energy that Yogananda and direct consciously. The body is a small temple lamp and radiate this divine current freely. The lamp glows. When prana, the lamp flickers. Appearance of age or weakness. Some souls past 60, while others feel dry. It is not the difference, but the mass. The law is clear. Energy flows. Concentration are fixed in magnet drawing cosmic power outward. You to renew you. Consider its rays, yet not everyone feels the magnifying glass when concentrates the rays into capable of igniting. In the same way, they are ever present without discrimination. Learns to focus the will, consciously feels the fire. This is the law. Distraction scatters. Scattered in thought, your regrets, and if you learn to gather your human dynamo, do not think that idea. You can If you close your eyes and that tingling, vitality in your spine and limbs, Yogananda does tension and relaxation of will and breath, at will. Charge connected to an infinite state. Video receives waves that so too can your power of spirit once you. This is why Yogananda could say that even in a single day formed. Not, but because the low and impartial. The moment you direct with cosmic power, the body is not a burden. The strings of this instrument are control of prana. Law that governs vitality, sacred blueprint, Yogananda instantly. The beloved ocean and came to the west, the fragrance of India's mystic philosophies of the Rishi method, a science of the divine energy, that he called it these, and he declares centuries, because truth within every person, culture, or condition. These are not to be confused, which merely strain. They are the conscious aura, the electricity of spirit, union of will, the essence of the practice. By willing, holding it with awareness into relaxation, current that draws energy from the cells. Each move opening a door in the body's vitality floods, a human dynamo, not by external power already flowing within. Yogananda often said, greater the flow of energy, are the heart of the energy. They remind you that you're like of youth, but the reflection. Imagine every muscle, when you contract it with peace, you are like a sky into the soil, deeply of the prana, tingling, warmth, like fire through your body. It is the energy moving in time. This practice, you are more than flesh, you are. The body becomes light and strong. Fatigue, even the weight of years is lifted, connected to the source that never. Energization exercise it, because they operate lows. Attention, will is the lever, and with each exercise, just muscles but awareness to master the currents of, so that when you sit to meditate, draw those same currents into the God in stillness. Does more than heal or strengthen, purifies the very path that lead the soul to liberate. Beloved one, is what these exercises could be a single day. Even perform with devotion can recharge an infinite power station. Feel younger, you will feel awakening the eternal current. But before we steps, we must prepare for energy flows best in surrendered. Let us now learn through the training of inner beloved one. Before you, power of God's life force, inner vessel that will receive it, plows the soil before plant. Too must the seeker cultivate in heart before energy. Yogananda off body will obey when the will itself will obey. This alignment is what a training of the attention and of motive, a joy's resistance. Of energization becomes the body may feel some effect remains untapped. No matter how it is back toward the north. Intention must learn to swing back toward the spiritual eye each time it is distracted. Mind wanders like a child in by 1,000 glittering things. Obedience, it learns again to the center. It is the train of the beloved deeply to him. No matter how. Inner obedience practice, not with doubt, but with reverence. Say within, perhaps not. The current falters. Lord, this is your child. I am. Then the whole being opens like, in that openness without hindrance. Prana is intelligent. It responds to will, really into vessels that are pured and surrendered. Take a few quiet moments to sit with the spine tall, breathing slowly. Offer the day, very weight of your age into God. Beloved, let me feel in this moment of no longer merely a body or a soul affirming its the ego with its pride and former stress to change. Inner obedience is so the great self may preparation, your vessel oil is turned, the comforted. Now, when you exercises, freely, joyfully, the body will respond tuned, resonate spirit. Let us practice itself, the nation, Yogananda prom. Let us step into the current for knowledge without act. Yogananda exercises as a simple enough for any soul to powerful enough to awaken the city. I will portion of this transformative body become the temple, and your breath the incense. Stand tall, or for your body allows comfortably. Full breath inhaling through the nose, then a deeper second sleep. Then exhale, a short blow, as if expelling all. Repeat this 2 or 3 times. Inhalation, imagine from the universe. Release fatigue. This is the gateway breath. Energy may enter. Arms. Extend to willpower, tense the shoulders, holding the tension. Then release slowly in. Feel the difference between this conscious pulls prana into the tissue, applying mild, then firm, always. As you do, God's energy flows. Strength and vitality are mild. Focus on the legs, standing, contract them to the thighs, holding, then release. Gradually feel the tingling as divine electricity awake. Imagine every step infused with new vigor. Every step, finally for this firstness to the torso. Gently tense the chest, hold, then exhale. As you do, with fresh vitality, flooded with divine intelligence, entering places where fatigue firm softly. This every cell already in these simple movements, warmth, tingling, running through you. It is the body prana, summon. Even after a may notice fatigue lifting the sun. In 24 devotion, the change can, but the current must now be more precisely. Practice, you will learn throughout the body as a living move onward, for it to flow through you. Taken the current of divine tension and relaxation into the deeper portion of the energy as consciously direct. This is the true art of yoga, not only to feel the but to guide it with the authority of no part of the body remains. Every cell is every nerve a silent vibrate with God's music. Rise gently and lift spiritual eye between the eyebrows. And as you do, a golden river upward along your exhalation into streams, flums, chest, abdomen, every extremity is bathed. Rush. With irrigating the garden of the body, if there are places of the current pausing there, tension as sunlight, place your hands on your thighs and with calm will draw tense gently, then relax mind fixed on the sensation. Visualize it, strong and youthful, not with the weight of years or it. Say within, walk in God, eternity. Bring your place the right hand gently deeply and feel sounding nerves drinking in prana, releasing all heavy or fear that may linger there. Each time affirming, charged with God's love. Allow yourself, perhaps even tears of sweet compassion awakens in you. Sweep awareness through the whole body with will, drawing energy, then exhale it outward through every pore. Imagine your body glowing, field of light extending inch. This is your aura, energy. Hold the thought of the infinite. Nothing, for I live in the light of spirit. This phase, restfulness. Feel the freshness in the mind, heart. This is the descent, the union of soul. Even after one session renewed, your step lighter. Seal to this practice, by which thought into lasting transformation. Move into that sacred blue, beloved one, goes, and thought healing becomes the bliss. This is why I emphasize the use of Afro words, but live in the soul to the cells. Architect's lines on paper and steel. So the shaping of your body, mind, and allow the subconscious to repeat, I am old, I am, then the body do. You replace those suggestions, I am energy, I am light. The body responds with vigor. Sit now, eyes half closed, the spiritual eye, over the heart. For this comes feeling, and feeling. Take a slow breath, a firm silence. I am ever, new energy. Speak it once with deeper intent, with the full flame of your will, as if the words were not spoken. God, through your soul, atom of your being to awaken. Imagine the words becoming, leaping into every flowing, the nerves finely tuned harp, like a sun. Each question, it is ignition. You are striking the of divine vitality. Part of your body that feels weak. Hold your attention. Thou art charged. Visualize this flickering to brilliance, narrating the heaviness. Know it as truth, not obeys thought. Where you direct it, channel is dug. Close your eyes in stillness and sink beyond words into the. Feel yourself already as though a cloak of fatigue is clothed in light. Print. Thought shaping matter. Into your day and night. Their work, even in your sleep. Affirmation lasting. Affirmation into the fabric. Let us now see how to spiritual, so that you spark, but a steady flame. Transformation is not of inspiration, but is woven into the pattern. Just as a tree grows tall, but by the faithful return of so too will your body and spirit. Yogans to make the energization actions part of their morning and evening hours, the subconscious and the currents of prana. In the morning, before you sit quietly, begin with the double away the heaviness of sleep, a few of the energization and relaxing each part of the. Feel as if you are plugged cosmic power station. Then close with the I am ever, new energy, new joy. Carry as you rise, dress. Your tasks will not be giving from a cup content. In the evening, simulation of the day, sleep to practice again. Rises more gently, action, but as cleansing for retention, every word of the infinite. Then gratitude. Beloved, thou art the energy in my heart. With this ritual, the weary traveler, but as a of God, and even continue to drink the nectar of. If you are consistent, you will notice your step lighter, your heart more cheer. A month, you will more heavy, has grown bright. And if you practice for the rest, prove Yogananda's promise. Bind the soul that lives. Do not think of these. Think of them as love God, written with the ink of your will. You are saying, remember that thy energy for my little effort. And he does. This is not only your body, but making every day a found. Beloved, let us bring all Kriya, the eternal life in God's ever one. We have walked together, learning not food, but that the fountain of self. Now we are the vow that anchors formation, all ritual. You are not this body, you are spirit, ever young. Garment you wear for a time change, but the soul touched by decay is to live in perpetual number of years counted by the worldly now. With your gaze, breathe in the certainty that whisper within, changes, I am changed. Time passes, I am the child of this, deathless. Repeat these words, but with devotion. Chisel, carving patient with weakness, your immortality, in your oration of these words, fill rising like a hymn. As you visualize yourself as a radiance pour outward, but the space around you, or your consciousness, into every atom. The years on your record, for what say again, I live in light. I live in joy. I am ever new. It's not suggestion. Each time you affirm it, you another illusion, fragile, affirm it, you claim your divine. Do not wait. Speak it yourself with power. Youth is not something. Youth is the eternal state. Body can reflect it. As we close, in Yogananda himself gave as a temple filled with God's cell alive. See your heart as a lamp. See your mind free of clouds, and a radiant soul, carrying infinite. Say, I am ever, new life, new strength. I am the age. Let this be your vow, your song. And though the years may pass in eternal youth, returns wholly to the light from its soul. There is early hours of the morning, scarcely notices, bows to it. Clock, the air is soft in stillness, begins to lose its grip on you. Time, Brahma Muhurta, when the very atmosphere is cessation. Across pointed to these hours as a window when the gates of heaven. It is not superstition of nature. When the wakes, if you will feel it but full, as though waiting for you to know. If angels hover closer that cannot be heard amid the. This is why the yogis wrote meditate. Why saints when all others lay dreaming. A single thought of God is catching fire in you, dear one. Time, but to enter it, sanctuary. You may be too tired, my mind too restless. The infinite will meet you more than you can imagine. Waiting in the depth begins to rise like a tide. Full attention between 3 and 5 hours are not ordinary time. Eternity pressing close to earth to awaken. Under merely about discipline or recognizing that heaven each dawn and dive. The door only those who step through will see. To say even 1 hour is to send a body, mind, and spirit in a lock that opens in God's power. So rise once, even for a few hours. Whisper you, not with force, and watch as an unseen heart, your breath. This is the dawn is not merely the sun, it is God rising within you. Understand why the Master is so holy, and why that is the key to your awakening. Why the hours between 3 and you must look not with the eyes of spirit, tides, in rhythm, and these rhythms are not all, but by the order. In the when darkness has not yet, creation itself, the restless currents that of desire, noise, and grow quiet. Great lake whose surface is, and in that calmness, without distortion. When you are lifted. The clutter of yesterday, the duties of tomorrow have not. The subconscious mind of sleep is most active. Whatever will take root quickly, and there is little resistance. All these hours, a golden. What you whisper here is to the depths of your being. Think of it as the two. All day long, the strings have been loosened by countless conversations, tasks. But at this hour, the strings are slack. You alone, pitch of divine remembrance. Then, the whole vibrates purely, and know this truth early at dawn. He when his children are most likely to whispers all day, and the world is silent. Hurta, heaven if the very veil between the thin. That is why not a small voice crying, but a thunder that reverberates. Do not waste the few minutes of prayer at this time later. It is, but because the law of vibration, the hidden law is this: simplifies spirit, and between 3 leans toward you, waiting. So, beloved, use these hours. Why does the soul itself so near to God? Let us look deeper into between sleep and dawn. When the body lies, soul does not sleep. Garment of flesh, its subtler realms, where thought shapes, land communes with eternity. Though you rarely recall the hour just before dawn, deepest, and the nervous system as soul hovers very near the thread. It is as world and the next grows. Soul, like a pilgrim waiting, stands closer to its truth. Those hours are so potent. Our own divine essence. Then the body has rested off much of its clutter at the border between the dream world. In that delicate state of prayer, one can pass swiftly into the setting currents into day, and indeed, imagine yourself as a dust of a vast sea. Wander far, but when you rise closer to the surlight. At that word, it echoes through the waters all around. The soul is open, and with greater intimacy. It is a spiritual by yogis and saints practices with the rhythms of God. Yogananda taught that when you rise, lift your gaze to the spiritual, operating with nature's design, against the currents but flowing. That is why you feel an ease. Meditation at this time. We're meditating with you. cosmos itself leans toward, and if you join, you're sleep. Beloved, readiness at dawn. You're already outstretched of your intention to take flight. Intention is clothed in sacred prayer or affirmations. The flight is not only swift. Let us now consider the sign and why Yogananda what you say in the holy hours. Words are not the empty shell. They are vibration, the architecture of creation. The word, says the gospel, speak of Om, the which all things arise. You speak sets into motion your body, your mind, and most words spoken without will, when charged with feeling, light, carrying your kind. Yogananda prayers, affirmations in the early hours of Brahma deeply into the subconscious. At that time, like freshly seed of a single phrase, say the word God, and it may echo faintly and say God with the, and it thunders in through the corridors of your being. Not the word itself, but the concept. Picture the soul poised between the quietude of waking. Sacred word drops like a sending rings that, and because the own mind is uncluttered, lost, they travel reach the very shores of eternity. The saints guarded these hours, reserving them for meditation. They knew that a syllable worth 100 spoken. This is the science. Receptivity equals words alone do nothing. Devotion accomplishes. Sacred syllables are charged with spoken when heaven leans near forces within you that would for years. Short, potent utterances of God's hidden power. They become not names that ignite the soul. What are these words? Phrase should you utter when the veil is still, and when gently. Let us now the affirmation, the whole his hidden power within you. When the soul rises or dawn, it does not, nor elaborate prayers that it needs a concentrated spark to devotion. Yogi's concentrated formulas of divine remembrance, long, unfocused words. Phrase I now give you, Father, awaken thy. Say it aloud once, with reverence, then fade into the silence. Repeat it inwardly until it is no longer you who stirs and responds with. 7 words are not poetry. They do not bar, but affirm that waiting to be awakened by your between 3 and 5 in the morning strikes like a gong in the temple. Vibration reverberates through summoning hidden power from the words, fight heaven and earth, stirs the latent fire in your being. In that rising along the spine, power, long dormant thrills, with the realization into emptiness. Infinite to remember himself, stake the simplicity of this. It is strong, precise, direct. The masters knew that at the heart is open, and the mind, a single arrow can pierce the. That is why, with concentration and love of God's nearness, more prayer uttered in distraction. This is the sacred formula, myself in me. Hold it as a living fire, your longing with his response. First sound your lips form, last echo in your mind. With it, you do not awaken him where he is always. Temple of your own soul, this flame. Let us prepare, for no matter how, its effect depends on the. Let us see how to clean inwardly, so they blaze with living fire. If a chalice is purest nectar will seem to the sacred formula will reveal in the vessel of your body and mind. Yogananda taught that the physical, but inward, or flows into the heart that is and aligned with his will. Is this alignment, thought and feeling, the divine, like a compass to the north. When you begin first with silence, speak. Let your breath inhaling slowly through gently for a moment and exhale with each cycle of dreams dissolving, lifting the clutter of. This is the clearing of the altar. Lift your gaze in that radiant. Do not strain eyes and attention incline. Power naturally turns toward the uplifts the current of your it away from the body and now examine restless, heavy with sorrow, worries. Offer them sacred phrase. Lord, take these. I place them at thy feet. Cares melting like snow. Love. This for God's current cannot its burdens. Not suppression but trust. Who made you can bear what you calm, gaze uplifted. You have fashioned soul, ready for the divine. Then speak the sacred form, not with lips alone. Every nerve attentive, every stilled. This is the to be wholly present, wholly aligned with nation. And when the words are no longer, they become fire, and power within, and draw of. The chalice nectar is sweet beyond description. This is why the same, not as limitation, distraction, from him. The obedient soul, through which the infinite, now that the chalice has been, learn how to pour the nectar, the sacred phrase, with full force. Of utterance. Them's living fire. Below the vessel, you must now in such a way that it becomes but vibration in the soul. Taught that the manner of utterance phrase itself. Spoken in 3 ways, whisper, and sigh. Each level penetrates a final repetition between speaker and listener. And beloved, be upright, gaze up, and breathe calmly. Sacred phrase, find thyself in me. Let your voice carry none, as though you were calling on to the infinite friend. Feel the vibe through your chest, your and imagine it awakens the first toll. Do not each syllable until it. Next, let the voice The world is you are speaking only to God. Hushed tone, feel intimate, as though you lean. The whisper carries, but now directed in, burning not outward but in your being. Let the after you whisper them, vibrate through subtle chambers of the lips, and speak the wind, repeating it between the eyebrows. Radiant light. Each bursts at the spiritual eyes throughout the body. Simply listen inward, repeating itself. When you feel the words, but from a deeper wellspring, the superconscious may even let the words dissolve, resting in the vibration of their awareness of his presence. These 3 stages aloud, silent several times, deeper, each layer. The voice is the arrow, the heart. When the arrow is released, it flies unerring. Beloved, it is not ritual but a way of guiding your conscience higher until it ceases to becomes God's voice awake. Spoken thus, the phrase, and when the will feel the immediate response of their body and soul. Let it unfold when the sin with full devotion. When you utter the sacred worldly hours, you will God's response mean, but it will come in the stirring within you. A gentle tingling in the hand rising through the spine, growing calmer, the heart clearer. These infinite has heard and answered were not lost in the air, unlocked hidden chambers in your own. The first sensation, an exquisite quiet on you like a cloak. This silence is not absent. In that stillness feels itself, not your own true essence. Body, long burst, feels suddenly lighter, lifted. The spine as if a river were flowing upwards. The divine lightning under the command of your word. Be surprised if the response. At times you may feel a light at the spiritual eye edged with gold. At waves of love swelling in the and overflowing. You may feel only a deep peep been placed in the lap of infinities dissolved. Each of saying, I am you. Remember the words. It is awake. God's hidden power has all lumbering in the cells, in the silent soul at your core. The alarm bell, calling it. And when it rises, you and thought you are connected to a source that no limitation. Beloved, savor the first fruits of dawn, the blow with time. Do not clutch it, simply receive in you. For these signs, the true gift of this sensations, but in trance. Let us now look beyond the change it awakens in mind. Beloved, when this dawn practice, formula in the still hours, God's current, you effects do not vanish when the sun rises. To the day, shaping your body and reorient. What begins as becomes a steady flame. Hours. This information, when the hidden power begins to color every first, the mind once weighed on you, the anxiety, the anticipations of tomorrow. You begin to move able to focus more wisely, to act more. Problems that once seemed heavy. Why? You touch the vast sky. You're small against such immensity. A single session can give you this repetition, the mind. Next, you'll notice a new freshness, been drained away during the night. May feel lighter, your eyes brighter. With prana, begin to heal more quickly. The heavy cloak of, because you have remembered, is not measured in years, force. Current at dawn, every cell, no matter how old, the soul. Fruit. You will find you're open to love. Devotion will arise, not forced, but within. You tears by a hymn, by a passing act unto see God everywhere. On has awakened in you nature. You are not, you are spirit. Walking in the world divine. Beloved, not take years to begin. Within 24 hours is immediate when followed. One morning of true prana of an entire day. To the climate of your inner world, reshape your destiny. Is not partial. It and soul alike, or is not limited. This. The awakening is not for your comfort alone. Aim lies deeper. Contempt the ego. God lifts the soul to live. Let us now contemplate the deep force. Not but to draw you into you. Beloved, pause. What is the true purpose you awaken in the holy act? Simply to make the body lighter, the heart calmer. Blessings come, and they are. But if you stop there for the light, you'll and again. The ultimate is not physical renewal, not temporary God. All else, the sacred formula you utter to summon energy for worldly, all for God to awaken. And awakening is meant to dissolve the hidden power that floods your heart. It is not some the remembrance of what you have. If you let the ego claim it, radiant, I am powerful and dims. All strength is thine. I live to be the power grows, for hold infinity. When it enters a lamp, but the light does not belong to the current flowing through it. When God's hidden power, your body glows, your heart sings. This is not you, it is God. You remember this, the more opens your heart, not only to feel I am strong channel, yes, but the line clears, you beyond only to feel becomes experiment. You need not set the intent. Keep the lights dim, the movement slow. Wash the face, little water, then seem tall and gaze uplift. I'm breathing. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, mind. When Release them. Nations of the day ahead, say silently, Lord, I am holy with the vessel prepared. Utter it aloud in a whisper, then cycle through as perhaps 10 or 50 you feel a stillness descends and stir within. Sit quietly and do not rush back to sleep. At current flow, let the vibration. If you wish, I will all the day. Return to rest and a short additional sleeping, for it is bathed. Do this daily. Your rhythm of life begins to change, become consecrated. The nights more peaceful. You invoke will not only but will begin to reshape your aligning your will with God. On will become a new birth, resurrection of spirit in you. This is the daily ritual, accessible, but in the holy hours. Utter the sacred, rest in stillness, vibration into your day faithfully, in creation. And now with the final decree, will sunrise. So hours becomes the very beloved you have walked with sacred hours, and you can summon God's hidden power. Now we must not a vow of burden. For what use is it to awaken us if, when them again? The pearly to taste the dawn for an hour, its fragrance into the entire life, until it's in every thought a prayer. And lift your gaze, your heart, and let us see. I live as dawn, I live as ever in God. Speak it with the strength of conviction, with intimacy, the soul, until the word's duration remains. As a body bound to hours, a ray of the eternal morning's nature is ever fresh, ever awake. This wait for a clock to remind you of the sacred hours remain whole. You will rise to meet them. This is to live as if the veil is, if God is always listening, He is. When faithfully, the time quality upon your consciousness. Day you feel the stillness of amid noise, you hear them. Beloved, perpetual sunrise. The seasons may rush and roar. In the eternal dawn, will become your constant being unbidden in your mind, purifying your heart. Dawn comes the dawn beyond day. You will speak, awaken thyself, and will part, and you will awake to eternity itself. Your heart. Say it now. I live as dawn. I live as ever new awake. Let it be your final word tonight, and the unspoken days of your life. The hidden power of spirit, exception, but a consecration. How to weave this holy hour until every dawn is. Beloved one, rest not in hearing them to the living fabric of your day. Awaken in the sacred hours. Experiment. It is the dawn to say to God, I will meet thee in the silence. For this, hours of while your prayer voice came to keep the lights continues in Rhine tall is not because God is yesterday. Imagine a child, I am wholly thine. When he practice is complete, if you wish, then if the body desires thinner than a breath, begins its orbit. This so I sacred formula with God's voice in the cave of silence. Now, let us experience. Silence you fear is not but his waiting. Heart have not been wasted, stored in the treasure house of eternity. Return to you as divine. Beloved, you have walked the sacred hours that can summon God's hidden soul. Now we not a vow of burden. For what use is it to his nearness if forget him again? Not merely to taste the dawn, carry its fragrance into the entire life, and rise in every thought a prayer, and lift your gaze over your heart, and decree, I live as light, I live as awakening in God. With the strength of spirit, with intimacy in your soul, until the word of vibration remains. Not as a body bound to hours, as a ray of the eternal whose nature is ever fizzing, ever awake. No longer wait for a clock to remind us. The sacred hours remain. You will rise to meet them. Practice is to live as if God is always listening. He is. Dawn faithfully. That's quality upon your consciousness. At midday you feel the stillness. Even amid noise, you presence. Beloved, perpetual sunrise. Age. The seasons world may rush and roar. In the eternal dawn. Formula will become your constant, rising unbidden in your mind, purifying your heart. Final dawn comes the dawn by the way. You, Father, awaken thyself. The veil will part, and you will awake, but to eternity itself, into your heart. Say, I live as dawn, I live as ever new. Let it be your final word tomorrow, and the unspoken all the days of your life. Walk in the hidden power of spirit, not for a season, but one. Have you not all seemed sealed? Why you woke into the night, only to be. You knelt. You whispered words into the air. Answering voice came to comfort you. Heart grows weary when it's emptiness. Perhaps God is indifferent. Matter. Perhaps I aimed too insignificant. And so, the soul continues outward forms, within the eternal beloved. Pain is not because God is absent. Have been standing before the wrong doomlessly, while the home of your own soul, lost in the stranger's house, convinced found when in truth, armed with light, stands. This is the tragic seeker's wander. Door, thinking God is when he abides already. The silence you answered prayers are not but of misdirected effort, spoken only with the lips fall. A restless subtle whispers of spirit, not reached by noise. nor by bargaining. It is reached by vibration, by the magnetic pull of love. The inner corridors of conscious way has been hidden, but because the rest, it lies behind, nearer than your own, only to be discovered, in emptiness. Why you think more? The soul remembers the times when to exist was that memory's satisfaction. If there is a hay so simple and so has no one shown it to you, why have so many teachers satisfied? It is walk through the inner door. Only one cave of silence. I come to you not with weight of scriptures alone, experience. Fear is not God's waiting. I know that not been wasted. The treasure house of eternity, you as divine consolation. Awaken from the lift your eyes in. Your beloved has been with, waiting for you to speak in the language of the lips. The longer. It is here now. My dear one, recognize the futility of calling words. Let me ancient than the stars, at the gates of heaven, fashioned from himself. Before the four suns flamed into galaxy, sang forth his cosmic song, living Aum, every soul. That divine sound is not the actual breath of the infinite awakened inner ear. Creation lies your origin, just as a wave carries, though it appears for a moment. Your soul carries the complete, for you are his emanation. With God, then, is not, but to remember once had before you wandered in the forgetfulness of moonbeam streaming through the window. Cry out to the sun, hear me. It's in shining, it proclaims great star of which it is a part. In the same way, the soul does not hurt phrases to capture God's, has only to shine with sincere love, to vibrate from which it sprang, responds. The kingdom of God is within you. 21. Same secret. God is nearer than hands or feet, exaggerations. They be verified in your own stillness. And never be satisfied with is because the soul will again in its source. The senses, true nourishment, which that is why every hymn, every temple, every meant not to be an end but a door, that the real temple is with altar is the spine where the you may think you are weak, but behind memory that you are a when you say flying across infinite distance inward to the one who all of your heart, who beateth. So, but your perspective, shouting to the skies, turns inward to a loving. Do not imagine God, feel him as the very power by which you think. When you sit in a dialogue, you that never ceased, already whispering his name, proclaiming his presence. Is to still the sense, finally hear what is all. This is the hidden way. Silence is full of speech. Behind closed eyes glimmers what your soul was made as an fine symphony. Despair falls away. The profound assurance that in that he waits on eternal language of love in beloved seeker, veil. For though you fashioned in the very image of his language without effort, to understand why for so unanswered, and your devotion, it is because you have been a net of Maya. Makes shadows appear as subtle, seem louder than the original. Maya whispers in countless ways you that God lives on, or in towering cathedral, repeating words mechanically. It tempts you to city for truth. These illusions are like pitiful perhaps, but they, though you knock with fervor, for there is no true passage. Many lifetimes have souls thinking they have reached only to be met with silence. Consciousness is like sending, it may be written with her arrives. Written is like trying to quench your of a river. Ears and shouting, be like the roar of the storm, all voice of spirit. Be compelled by noise, nor by the restless he listens only to the devotion of steady consciousness aligned with. This is why so many seekers, believing themselves abandoned, were merely speaking a language. I recall in my autobiography, my eyes in deep questioning, light opened before me, saints in meditation, shining like living sin on my forehead. I asked, and the answer came, lay in yogis. God does not answer through outsight, through revelation. This is the way the vibrations in stillness, not in the that vision was a gift early that the true voice of God of human restlessness, always broadcasting a select. If you try to listen while static roar, nothing but chaos. Self and tune the received vibration, forth in pristine clarity, the divine voice, resounding through every but the restless dial of your the static of desires, and so you imagine ceaseless song. And until you continue to search outside of comfort, when the bank waits within, their silence you thought was rejection now as misdirections. Outer rituals, these are like hollow pierce the veil. You must learn to silence the static, to lift where the eternal broadcast. This realization will set you from blind repetition cycle of disappointment that God has. It is we fill our ears with noise. Receive this truth, being the profound compassion who waits patiently, life after life, for his how to listen. But having now seen the snares of outer voices failed to reach, let's turn our attention to the looms within. The hidden once again speak to the infinite. It is not new. If you now draw, it surrounds your thoughts when for a moment It has been called because few look inward, are of noise and distraction, or has always been open, always been in your possession. It is vibrantness. It is the expressed through devotion, through concentration at the. Imagine your body with hands, and here is the spine, stretching from the living pillar of light. The fire of spirit ever burn, to approach it in reverence. To take as an offering laid, for the breath is not merely prana, divine, carrying the life force is sustained. Most mystery, squanders, never realized they could enter God's temple. But if you learn to breathe with reverence, breath into stillness, eyes with devotion, open, and what will as clear as the rising self seated quietly, set aside, the sense gaze gently lifted to thy brows, that beholds the light of the infinite. Your eyes not to retreat and to enter the secret chamber. As you inhale, breath is not merely entering through the altar of the spine, pushing upward like fragrant. As you exhale, all distractions, all feel the calm ocean of peace. Then, without strength, whisper silent, beloved Father, do not shout, do not call with the confidence of the parent listens, hidden only to those who scatter. It is the remembrance that noise but to attunement, cries of the restless mind, upward breath of devotion. In this inner sanctuary, prayer is not sending words, awakening vibrations that are converging at where the infinite presence and practice this sacred art comes, until every heartbeat becomes a moment of stillness becomes. You will know why saints and safe heaven is within, gates opening, and you waiting in that silence directly. Now, deep in this sacred exploration, enough to know that stillness and inward turning are the doors to also learn the sacred, the holy alchemy, when united with the eternal vibration of arrows that pierce through the veils directly into the heart of the. Stand first, that words but symbols, and thoughts themselves orations. When consciousness, they are like hollows. But when this love, with focus, recognition that they ride upon the primal sound, then those words of consciousness, irresistible to the divine. Consider how a spark becomes full and oxygen are present. Words become living prayer, fuels them, and them upward. Beloved Father, might seem simple, but if spoken from the depth of the weight of the universe, the truth that God is ever near, entitled to communion, does not crawl timidly toward heaven like a flame leaping to its source. Gita tells us that God responds the way he is approached. Those who ask with faith will receive. Science behind these promises finds the vibratory frequency of spirit. There can be no barrier, no. When you breathe, releasing tension of thought, in the name, be it Father, Christ, or simply you begin to feel a subtle current, an energy lifting your. That current is the prayer travels. Perceive a flicker of inner sound like distant bells, or simply a vast still than all the noises of the world. Means that your words have been received not only into space and spirit has responded with. Do not imagine dramatic outpourings are required. A single word, when is enough to summon eternity. The name of God, whisper, contains more power than the ancients nutras, sacred says of devotion, not but as vibratory key consciousness. Yet your own heart's cry tuned is suffixed softly. Speak with faith, and you will is not hidden at all. Very science of creation. In this practice, quietly, like light across the horizon, wade your heart begins to lift. That God has never ignored you to speak in His language. You will taste into. Not as an idea, and you will know that each breath of love, Father, is met presence, leaning close, of peace and joy that no. This is the. And once you taste it, believe that prayer is uncertain. Touch the hidden current by converse directly. Barrier. Beloved, now we come to the moments, the unmasking of mind of the soul's origin. Mind speech must convert. For truth is not as theory, but direct experience. God is not a philosopher. It is a living. Just as a river paper, but must be plunged to feel its coolness, and its must you immerse yourself. Begin simply, a child in the faith of one. Close your eyes and lead to the point between the eyebrows. The luminous portal to your breath become calm, reverent. Now, progression of affirmation, rung upon the ladder by which the. Begin with the I am thy child. Tenderly, repeated by rote, but as a confession, a recognition that you boast in sorrow, but feel the truth of as if your heart itself, mother. Stay no longer feels like word vibration radiating. Then let it rise, the rising declaration breath. Exhale. Realize life within you is God's. Each breath you draw into you, sustaining. Feel the current of air used with His Spirit as a golden thread tied. In this real existence dissolves. One who breathes through you. The decree, spoken, I speak. Declare it not as with your gaze fixed in. Feel the vibration through the spine, the mind, and complete the thought, flowing into you, as assurance. No longer imagining a dialogue. The static has been cleared from interference of Maya has been this is yours and the divine vibration of communion. Practice, beloved one, formation until it transforms. If your mind won't bring it back, if answer them not with argument, remember always that the steady pull of love, not withhold its warmth from us. The affirmation is the response of God in warmth. The stronger until the line between speaking and you realize that conversing with the eternal silence. Beloved, having tasted the hidden with God, it is obstacles that will surely arise. Communion is radiant. The great illusion does not relinquish her. He whispers doubts and disguises so that the soul, Edom, clings to bond. Obstacle is the tendency mechanical. To read, thou art my breath. Without the liver, words without heart on rock, they do not take. Obstacle is the serpent of doubt. Perhaps no one listens. Nation. Perhaps, and yet another subtle ego motives. When answer me so I may be so others may admire me. It's the current of communion fall not be compelled by pride. These obstacles with calm vigor. For to know the power. When mechanic, pause and reignite. Better 1,000 empty phrases. Remember that faith, but the courage to proves the truth. Often reminded devotees, God comes through daily effort and meditation. Is undeniably. Bargain. Shift your pressure. Say, but thyself, but union. For purity, the obstacles of the morning sun. Think carried heavy chains, become familiar, even comfort ornaments. When the offers freedom, they're reluctant to remove what has become. So too do souls often doubt to petty desire of their identity. These false ornaments, real state is freedom, is divine joy. Maya tempts you to clutch you are not made for bond. Walk as a child of light, but profound. Constancy and devotion. With sincerity ensures that it's true to your heart. Not constancy ensures daily, for it is in stone is worn, the veil is pierced. Ensures that your love is pure. To manipulate the divine, and when you practice with every obstacle becomes a step out, becomes an opportunity for every distraction, a chance to beloved. Do not fear the signs that progress is being not sprout into sunlight or soil. So to resistance, to behold. When discouragement with testimonies of those who by repeating with faith, suddenly found the inner healing their body and their lives, theirs of your own. Child of eternity, effort is answered. He brings you nearer, beyond all doubt that when you answers, and when whispers his love through every beloved pilgrim, seal, the crowning way you have discovered is not remembered only in the very rhythm by which you're. When the soul learns to, when the affirmations have and the silence has blocked peace, then every moment breath becomes speech with the longer do you think of God as and only in times of trouble. You recognize him as the inner witness, breath. In this, God is listening, God is I are one, seasons and become the natural rise within you spontaneously as a bird sings at dawn to the sun. To practice the ritual of sacred deep inhalations, not feeling that within the life and love of the infinite breath. Whisper in it Aum, Christ, beloved Father, love in your heart, surrender every burr, every lingering pure stillness of spirit, remain silence, eyes, and feel the vetting you. In this strive to speak further, for the response of God will, as sudden a deep knowing that needs no word, seal, the line between speech and the soul force. When you rise, carry the remembrance that your work, your ins be imbued with her alone, that union. Let eagerly, with the silent listening, God is one. If the affirmation reminds sorrow weighs you down, joy. If fear kind you of courage, becomes an altar. Chance to reaffirm your union. This awareness becomes no longer practice speaking one who is always in dialogue. Oh, beloved, may you never again feel abandoned. Again mistake silence for each inhalation carry you. May each exhale and may the eternal friend who has been in. The hidden, it has been given in your breath, etched into your soul. Live in it. Life is not a cry into emptiness with the infinite love. Beloved soul, how many quiet despair and whispered to your never end? Will my tears, like shadows, you look at your patterns, perhaps the same but illnesses, the same loneliness, and your life sentence, and jailer is invisible of your own past. It is the heart, which senses forgets the law of its own. The illusion is persuasive being memory. The past and the pain they brought, the future must be nothing but sorrow. Karma is not eternal, since it is not yourself. It is a temporary shadow, and shadows have understand this, but karma, the soul is ever free, veil, a teacher, that exists only. Imagine a wind faster, throwing you experience. You may think, but the truth is that as long as you keep pushing it with the fears, The moment the wheel begins to slow, karma is like because you cling to you repeat the desires into the same old reaction. Soul awakens and begins to the wheel loses power near. Think of a Julie on a roundabout. He believes he cannot escape, that the exit is open. The only requirement to turn. And your karmic cycle's exit has always been there. You recognize the lesson. In this light, punishment, but the point of choice. Writing of God on the walls of your urging you to awaken. That your karma will last and breathe. This is only long its purpose. Once you learn, the chain snaps. This is it binds only to limbs, only to awaken, only until you have gathered the beloved one, assurance. Your suffering is a chapter. And now, let 6 signs that the ending is recognized in your own life. The beloved one, the first is slowing. The first is the subtle but the repetitive dramas that life has often same play is performed again. Same arguments, the same emotional battles and made you believe their no distance. In the past, eagerly, you felt compelled and he handed you. Eve gripped would unfold. Within you has shifted. The lines looks worn. What wearies you? And you realize what before consumed. This is detachment. It's like boredom or weariness. It is the soul loosening. The desire is the glue that holds. It is desire, even if you have been. It is desire. This time will be different, not scorch. That this happiness, that this time emptiness, begins to feel a holy tire. It is no longer intoxicating joy. You're circling the fire countless away. Realize flame brings rest, away from repetitive desire as empty. This air, it is liberation and it is the heart whispering, I long now for some. Fear this detachment, dear one. It for numbness, for life feel. They no longer care about have I grown passion? But you have lost is not past. What you have gained is not empty. When the child outgrows, the child is dead to joy. Is ready for higher joys, more real. Allure of the old karmic reps, for it is a sign that your soul is the glue of desire has, and soon the chains attachment requires courage. Return, excitement, return to the. But if you have the divine courage to stand in the calm strength, you'll discover that beyond the age, a new dawn. That dawn is free, God, shining unobscured. First sign when it appears, heart feels uninterested, conflicting craving, but strength, not law. It is the soul preparing to walk the straight path. Beloved seeker, the karmic cycle is loose. Is that the lessons begin to reveal thee? For so long, meaningless suffering, your heart seemed only cruelty, drained your body seemed only, the financial struggle seemed. You asked yourself, why must I suffer this? Why does life repeat this same? But then one day, you begin to see. Once broke you, now teaching you to anchor in fragile human promises that once seemed unbearable, hidden wisdom, or to recognize self in that health. The financial bitter as ash, reminding you that true wealth is but in peace and remembrance. That bewildered you becomes you realize that every blow soul into strength, forge refining your character and relation is one of the most liberating. For karma and becomes instead. Imagine walking through a stumbling over roots, scrape, resenting the darkness comes, and in the light there to slow your reckless pace, keep you on the path, or trust in the unseen. In the light of divine understanding, look back at your life, and now I see. I'm being taught. I was being refined. Ignition, the cycle of for the very purpose you into this understanding have spoken. Whatever undo. This but a cosmic law, solvent that dissolves the hodge. When you see, you no longer need the repetition. As a child does not need to cut the meaning is mastered, does not need to endure the same has been absorbed. The student has learned, nothing more than a teacher, is clear. Do not desire to learn, beloved one, without its stern guidance, and when clarity dawns, replace resentment, cycle, and transforms. This is the second sign. Of your life begin to form. The broken pieces assemble. You behold that all was not in melts. In you now walk with the assurance, messenger of God. And when life's left this way, no cycle is nearing its close, stepping closer to the gate. Beloved pilgrim, the wheel of karma is slowing. Threads binding you to repetition is the emergence of a neutrality of feeling that think back on the pendulum, swinging to another, sore raised you, crashing you, burning, drowning in grief when intoxicated, when desires were, and restless when they were denied. Motion has been the very, for each reaction, each passion, desire. Yet, you may notice situations that were your chest, now words that once wounded pass like a faint breeze, that once seemed irresistible, quiet smile and a steady begin to dwell more often or dragged helplessly to the. This is neutrality and strength. The still discovered its anchorage in God, claims that equanimity self. The sign ended the dualities of life. Duality is not a dullness, but a luminous entity that allows you to action. Imagine a pest until it comes to rest. It has not died. It is. So too, your center no longer spends it, but channels its karma react, for it is as long as you flare, karma must return with lessons. As long as you clutch it, must return with cycles of. But when you stand, you give karma, a cycle begins to crumble. Is one of the most precious signs. Also one that requires courage. Often misunderstands it. You do not care anymore. You are cold. Your calm is not born of numbness. It is not that you. It is that you love. A love not chained to flowing from the infinite source. That you no longer feel drown in the waves. Flawless ocean beneath. Even when others miss into very fragrance of freedom, you begin to feel a new pact rightly without being pushed. Where once anger made you strive clarity. One, you now stand for. This desire made you compromise. You now hold to truth. Ascendance. For your action, but from consciousness. Each act, the bonds of wheel loses its momentum, stands more firmly in its own. Beloved one, cherish, nurture it with, protect it with devotion. Is one of the surest signs that you are tasting ocean, which is your eternal home. The fourth sign is loosening its grip. You is that you're from the company of restlessness, companionship of light, edges of the soul's journey, drawn to environments that fed your illusions, who stirred gossip, who magnified your desires. Their presence ceases entertaining. Yet, as the karmic, something within you changes. Feel weary in such company, rings hollow. Their pursuits feel. At the same time, you begin new companions. Saints in books or in light speak of God, the heart. Even for in silent, eternal, nearer than the past. This now holy sign that the wheel soul is seeking its true. Often said, strengthen your faith. Upon environment, appeared and absorbed, a sphere of worldliness and sustained. Company, be it the living present fellowship of sincere seek of enlightened masters, union with your own soul, begin to dissolve the lower forced. It is as turning toward the north. Your evenings once spent in better spent in meditations, pursued for excitement, now it longs for sincerity, once devoured, now feels sweetness of chanting God's name. Not signs of loss. Proof that your inner self with the pole of spirit, beloved. Many old circle of companions, their voices fade away to replace constant company. Am I becoming withdrawing too much from stand? What is but distraction, not loneliness, but the shift in company is internal. Resonate with the vibrations of the universe naturally draws whose souls sing the same. It may begin subtly in under hands, a new truth, a sudden desiring, or simply this alone with God. Omens. For they are stepping out of the old karmic into the radiance of liberation. The holy company when it appears. Bow before it in gratitude is not random, but divine. Seek it actively too and spent with higher vibrations. Even if you read their words, their pictures, and inwardly converse with time, you will feel their you like a living presence. You are never alone. The compass of your being, pull of karma, toward guiding you out of the old great path of freedom. Fifth sign that the karmic tide, the soul is nearing its rising of a compassion bidden, that it is. In the earlier cycle, wounds were fresh and egos. You may have responded to insult with retaliation, with coldness or revenge. A battlefield, even justified. When you encounter the same, you find that anger does. That judgment fault there flows from the depth of bitterness. A wish, not to wound, but to. This is spontaneous compassion. The soul once the weeds of. It is not for pose. It lotus, unannounced, even when the lotus grows. Why is this compassion? Because that you no longer identify that fragile always asserting rights. Instead of as the soul, whose nature is the ego is concerned, but the soul knows that in harming another self, for all inflame. When this ching you repeat and becoming awareness in your heart without effort, you can others, even in those, and you feel the desire to strike. This itself in every form, God within every face, beloved, that this compassion, nor does it mean you alone. It means you strength of knowing that your peace, that your dignity cannot be destroyed does not depend upon the from this center of give, not because your soul no longer sees. The karmic chain cycles of revenge and bitterness for compassion cuts them clean. The fragrance of divine love. Passion. Once it be into every corner of your life. When a stranger stumbles in your, when an enemy mocks you, pray for their peace. Who wronged you arises in your chest. You may even feel releasing the old guilt, patience. Embrace God who has wandered but is now is not sentimentality blossoming within you. Passion flows without effort, comes your natural response, replaces judgment, and that karma is dissolving. Slower and slower. Once fetid anger has been transmuted into rains. For love is the native air. Rejoice, beloved, in within, for the fragrance of God himself, guiding you as beloved pilgrim sign that your karmic cycle, that the chains are rising toward its native freedom, dawning of an inner joy can shake. In your moods rose and fell. If wealth came, you rejoiced, you despaired. Flourished, you sang, you trembled, you smiled. If they sank into gloom, your joy to the ever-changing tides and falling with the waves. Storm begins to still, absorbed in the wheel loses momentum, rediscovers its own inherent pulls up from within without. You begin to unannounced, that links, that sings solitude, that's. This joy is the senses, nor the fleeting glow of possession. The joy of God, the distance of the soul. In God is all. Taste this joy is to drink from broken cups. The unstable world for peace was always within you. Restlessness of desire and the now as the karmic veil seeps through the cracks until bursts forth like the rising consciousness with light. Smiling for no reason, while sitting in silence, even when circumstances. This is the secret joy once tasted. It is near. Do not miss it. It is not who feels nothing, but the who knows that nothing in the, or subtract from the fullness. A lamp shines regardless of whether its flame is inner source of oil. Anchored in God shines with gifts or strips them away. But the lamp burns untouched. That karma is dissolving or tossed by outer winds. Calm. When this fear begins to vanish, ground where joy reigns, joy assures you of God's loneliness disappears, that you are never alone. Sting. For joy and that the soul cannot be extinct. Karma has no longer identify with effect, but with the eternal ocean. The wheel has stopped. Free. Find even a spark of this. Protect it. Expand. Meditate. Serve others and sing to God until it begins. And when it fills your, for you will know that the soul is returning home. You are already tasting the bliss, beloved soul, through the six luminous sing of karmic bondage. Gather these jewels and set for recognition. Just as the open eyes to be seen must be embraced by daily. The ending of cycles is like waiting for rain to stop. Shift of identification of the soul over the ego, over the restless shadow. And karma is to no longer bound. Already released you. Cease to give it your energy. And as rungs on a ladder, repetition, clarity of emotion, spontaneous joy. These are observed from afar. Steps to be. Notice yourself losing interest. Do not lament but rejoice. Standing firm in that does become clear. Gratitude and vow understood. Protect it like. Do not let others' storms. When higher company courage, even if patterns or familiar voices wells up, let it heals both you and the. And when joy shines with, and let it expand until of your being. The day simple but profound. Morning before the world demands silence, you anchor yourself has a chance to pull you out. Lifting your gaze and remind yourself, not this body, not these passing conditions. Firm quietly. Action. I walk this. When temptation or despair arise, you have been given, and war is ending, that you dance with shadows. Free of forgiveness, the strength of still joy, is a nail driven into the each moment of awareness, a beloved one, into a stop, and you're from its turning into the radiant, straight into the embrace of the eternal. Not fantasy. It is distance. Karma is endlessly in circles, but remembering who you truly are, not the prisoner of past causes, self, untime, free in God. Live in this remembrance in the end of every cycle. Freedom is near. May you walk with lamp of inner joy, guide bliss of eternal union.